Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Odabo Ejumudo, and I'm the moderator for this series. It's 10:01. Please, let's give some time, 5 more minutes for more people to join in, and then we'll be live by 10:05. Thank you.
Come, Mr. Stanley. Mr. Stanley. You mind?
Good morning again, everyone. We'll be going live in 3 minutes. Let's just allow people to join before we kick off. Today we are having a special guest, Mr. Deji Wright. I'll be discussing about managing growth transitions. He is the CEO of Transport Services Limited, TSL, and it promises to be a very exciting and engaging conversation. Just a few more minutes and be live. Thank you. Okay, good morning again, everyone. Nice to meet everyone again. My name is Odabo Ejumudu, and I'll be moderating this session, Managing Growth Transitions, powered by Triad Series. Today's guest is Mr. Deji Wright. He'll be joining us in a few minutes. So before we start, I'd like to read his bio. So for us that do not know the company TSL, to give you an insight into the CEO and the great work they have done so far, right? So reading his bio now, Mr. Deji Wright is a distinguished law graduate with an impressive academic journey that includes a bachelor's degree from the University of Buckingham, England, followed by a master's degree in petroleum law and economics from the University of Dundee, Scotland. He further enriched his legal expertise by attaining another master's degree in commercial and corporate law from the prestigious King's College, University of London. Having completed his education, Deji proceeded to the Nigerian Law School, where he solidified his legal credentials and became a valued member of the Nigerian Bar Association. His professional journey took an exciting turn when he joined the esteemed law firm of Olaniwon Ajayi LP, where he honed his skills and contributed significantly to the legal landscape. Subsequently, he ventured into the business world and played a pivotal role in the growth and development of TSL, a testament to his dynamic entrepreneurial spirit. As the current managing director and chief executive officer of Triad Series Limited, Mr. Deji Wright has demonstrated exceptional leadership, spearheading the company's remarkable success for the past 19 years. Under his guidance, TSL has been at the forefront of delivering cutting-edge and innovative logistics solutions. A diverse clientele, including indigenous and multinational corporations. Notably, his expertise has made a significant impact in vital sectors of the Nigerian economy, including oil and gas, mining and construction, FMCG and agriculture. Throughout his career, Deji has earned a reputation for a strategic vision, commitment to excellence, and unwavering dedication to customer satisfaction. His ability to navigate complex legal and business landscapes has been instrumental in fostering mutually beneficial relationships with clients and stakeholders alike. With a wealth of experience and a passion for innovation, Mr. Deji Wright continues to be a driving force in shaping the logistics industry and making enduring contributions to Nigeria's economic growth. All right, so with that intro, I know you guys will be excited at the value that he tends to bring to this conversation. I'm honored to have him on this platform. So I'm going to do lots of questions and do lots of storytelling. And the aim is to inform us and inspire us so that in our own right, we learn how to be the best and deliver value in whatever sectors we may play in. Okay. So the way we'll work, we'll have the session going for about 1 hour, 1.5 hours maximum. And we'll have questions at the end of the session with Mr. Deji. Yeah, so it promises to be exciting. Mr. Deji hasn't joined yet. He'll be joining in a few minutes. We're experiencing a few technical difficulties. However, he'll be in shortly. So give us just a few more minutes before we kick off, okay? Thank you. Oh, Mr. Deji, you're in now. Yes, okay, you're on mute. You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Okay. Can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, Mr. Jumodo. Good morning, Mrs. Awolumate. How are you, madam?
Yes, we are here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Timothy. So to reintroduce Deji again, this is the Triad Series powered by Scepter Consulting, and we're here today, Triad Series with Mr. Deji Wright. He is the CEO of Triad Services Limited, TSL, a force to reckon with in the logistics industry, providing logistics solutions to the oil and gas and several other sectors in the Nigerian economy. Before you came in, Mr. Deji, I just read your bio. It's extremely impressive, extremely impressive. So I'm honored to be here. Okay. How was your day? Hope it was good. Your morning has been good.
It's been good. It's been good. It's been good.
Good. Okay, awesome. Can we get into it now?
Yes, well, I'm ready. If you can hear me
Okay.
loud.
Yes, we're very loud and clear. Right. So anybody, any questions, you can put your questions in the chat box. We'll keep piling the questions. At the end of an hour plus, we'll go into the question and answer session. Okay. So Mr. Deji, first question I'd like to ask is, how did you transition? Because I can see you are a practicing lawyer. You studied in the UK. You actually came back to Nigeria and practiced for a few years. Like, that transition is a big deal. I used to be a dentist. I transitioned from being a dentist to the corporate world, and I see a lot of people struggling in that space. So that's the first question I'm going to ask you. Like, how did you even do that? What are the principles that guided you?
So to be honest, I think desire helped, passion, and I think also, when you're young, I think one of the challenges that I see with a lot of Nigerians is people are quick to lose hope in what they believe in, and I think maybe one of the biggest uh, lies about life is that success comes easy. For me, it wasn't as if I had any extra power, or I was a young man, but I wanted to pursue business, and I was with my partners. So we all had the single desire to aggressively pursue it. And they say desire is the evidence of pursuit. How do they say it?
Okay. Hello.
Thing that was important was this. When I started practicing law, I said to myself, what is the pinnacle of being a lawyer? Is being a son. That's the pinnacle of it. So I said to myself, if being a son is a pinnacle, then if I leave law, I must be at the pinnacle of whatever I did. And that was very important. So that was the compromise, that whatever I changed into or metamorphosed into, I must be at the peak of it, because I wouldn't have loved to practice law. Maybe, yes, looking back now, maybe I probably would not have stayed with the advocacy part of law, but I would have still pushed to be a top notch solicitor today. So for me, it was always the top for whatever I chose to do. So that was what made it easy. I made up my mind, if I'm moving to anything, I have to be one of the best, if not the best at it.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. I mean, these are things we hear every day: desire, passion. But I believe that in hearing people's stories, you find the secret to success, right? So there's several things you just mentioned, and I'm trying to read between the lines here. You said desire, passion. You said your decision to be at the pinnacle, even when you left your practice. And also you mentioned the association you had. The people you worked with, the partners you worked with, reinforced your belief or your decision to succeed in what you plan to do. But now in hindsight, it looks easy. It looks easier, right? But how did you manage those doubtful moments when you first started? I know you didn't just start with a fleet size of multiple trucks you started. So let's go back to those early days. How was the beginnings like? How was the beginning starting?
Okay, I think that I like that question. You said, oh, it gets easier. The question is, does it really get easier? I think what really does happen, I don't know if it gets easier. I think what really does happen is that you get better at it. It doesn't get easier. You get better at managing pressure. You get better at handling rejections. You get better at handling money. You get better at making decisions. So the truth is, the same doubt, I assume that I'm talking to young entrepreneurs or will-be entrepreneurs. There's no time that the doubt won't be there. And then I wasn't a committed man of faith. But one thing that I know we did very well, that extinguished doubt, was intensive research and development. We were three at that point, and every Saturday or every other Saturday, we unblocked it, and we would go out and we knew we were starting with trucking. We knew we wanted to truck petroleum products. That was where our opportunity was. And the next 18 months, we researched into trucking petroleum products in Nigeria. That by the time we finished, we knew the business so well. In fact, we recruited our first driver on Amadu Bello Way. And we looked at, in those days, about 24 years ago now, one of the things that we first noticed out of research was mobile oil. Downstream then, they were the best in the market in terms of trucking, in terms of revenue for tanker drivers. We did all our research. We knew the place you could thrive. You knew the place you could not thrive. So that was what extinguished doubt for us. But it didn't extinguish rejection. But because when you've done so much research, it gives you some sort of confidence. Then that's what you now have to manage, that you don't become overconfident or arrogant, and that could be disastrous. But we had strong understanding. For example, now we knew why Nigeria was still truck for a long time. Then we knew entire petroleum pipeline distribution. We knew where they were. We knew the ones that were broken. We knew the ones that were not working. So when we sat in front of the bank to raise money, we could tell the banks that this pipeline is not working, this is not working. And this is 24 years ago. We hadn't gotten this worse. And the chances of this working are slim, And so that gave us, and we saw the gap in the market. We saw the gap, we knew the gap. And that was what quenched doubt. But that there were days that we were, and also, like I said, when you desire something and you've done a lot of work, rejections will not bother you. Because another thing that helped us was that because we had so much knowledge, we could present to the banks. And one of the things that happened was that because we were young, we were also fearless, We were quite fearless. And I remember we'll go into banks and talk to banks, cold calls. We want to buy a ship, and they will laugh at us. And they will ask us questions, they will ask us questions. And from the questions they were asking us, we learned what the banks wanted to see. So by the time after the end of 18 months research, and towards the end, I think about maybe 4 months to the end, we now got a young accountant as well, who was about our age. So he was working in an accounting firm. Somebody recommended, brilliant. So he now did the financial aspect of the business for us. So we were able to put all our knowledge into the financial aspect. And by the time we saw the financial aspect, being young, 29-year-old boys, and we look at the revenue like, wow. So that even drove us further. But we knew what the gap was in the system. We knew where we could come in. We knew what our services could be. And we also benchmarked with the very best in the market. It was Mobile, and Mobile had a transporter then called Khalil and Debo. So Khalil and Debo was the best transporter in the country. So we benchmarked him. We benchmarked him. Round the clock, we were always around this truck. We'll go around this truck in Apapa. We will interview his drivers on the road. So imagine stopping drivers on the road and interviewing them. Up to the point we knew the trucks that were good, in those days, it was a Iveco Eurostar 8210 engine. We knew the kind of engine that was in that Eurostar. We knew, and why were people using it? We realized that people were using it because the parts were freely available, one. Two, the mechanics had the knowledge of it. So all those things, that knowledge really helped us to deal with doubt and also the days in which we were rejected.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Deji. I think you spot on said it. These are things you learn in a business school, in Lagos Business School, and all the top business schools. The first thing you mentioned was intensive R&D, which is research, right? And I like the way you coined it, how research and development helped you extinguish doubts. So there was no longer any doubt or fear. And my understanding is that led to data. You saw hard data that you could work with. So it was no longer guessing. I think most times for entrepreneurs and even for business leaders, sometimes we just go with emotions. We go with emotions, go with feelings, gut feeling. It has its place. However, data, like you said, extinguishes any doubt whatsoever. You understood the gap in your market. You benchmarked with mobile. You understood your customer, your competitor, your customer, operations, people management, and even banking, even raising capital. So this audience is a mix of entrepreneurs and young business leaders. So I'm really happy to hear you ticking all the boxes, right? And I like the fact that you said people are young and fearless. You're fearless because of all the research you had. I mean, almost 2 years of research, right? If I may ask you, when you were doing this research, were you still a lawyer, practicing as a lawyer, or you were fully committed to this new business?
I was still practicing, because what we did was, and one of the things we did was, we didn't use our office time. So we would meet after work, maybe once or twice during the week. And, if you closed maybe 6, traffic wasn't really bad in those days. So 6, we had a partner who lived on the island. So we go to the house, or we go to a quiet restaurant, and then we will sit there and work maybe till 10, and then we go home. Or Saturdays was the day in which we drove around. We did everything on Saturdays, everything. So during the week, in the evenings and Saturdays.
Really, I love that. I love that background information. Because I say that because most times some people say they don't have enough time, especially those in transitioning from 9 to 5 to the entrepreneurship business. So I have to make that point clear that you don't necessarily have to exit your job before you start. I like the way you point it, and that gives you more depth. The next question I have for you, Mr. Deji, is partnerships. How did you navigate your partnerships? Because now you mentioned you worked with 2 other friends to start this business. Partnership is a deal breaker for many, many companies. What are the fundamental principles that helped you and your friends come together to start this partnership journey? And has also helped you now in picking your other partners as a business globally?
That's a good question, because it's a practical one. I think if you asked me at the beginning, I'll probably say providence, which is not a lie. But we all had one thing in common. We wanted to all excel. I remember in the early days when we were talking to the bank, we'll say, we want to redefine trucking, we want to do this, we want to do that. And inadvertently, to the glory of God today, I think in our industry, people will see us as one of the people that have actually redefined the industry. From where we met it, clearly, we've been able to accomplish that goal. So one thing, like I said, the passion united us. We wanted to do something. There were people, 3 young guys that wanted some form of excellence. We wanted to make impact. We also wanted to make money without a shadow of doubt. But the money didn't supersede the impact. That was one. That impact was key to us. Excellence was key. Hence why we benchmarked with the best. And it's still in the DNA of the business today, because the way we are as a business people now as an organization is we believe that as a black race, we must be able to prove that things can also work here. Yeah, you go around Lagos, you see a lot of things that are not right. We complain, but okay, can we do something about it? You know, if you're a newscaster, can we do it with excellence? You know, so for us, that united us. And I think, and not making money the primary thing also helped, because looking at the years gone by, it was one of the things that made us very successful in the area of partnership. But also, I've been on the side of, we worked together for 18 years, and one of our partners left because strategy, he strategically wanted to go in a different way. But what I would say to people is that, so I've seen partnership of 3 turn to 2 going very strongly, very strongly. But what I've seen is that when people come to me and say, "DG partnership," I'll tell you, it's still the best form for business, in my own opinion. And what can make it work? One, I tell people, if you're going to partner all the way. When people come to me and say, "Oh, I'm partnering with Mr. James, but I'm doing my thing on the side," he's also doing on this. It's not a partnership.
Okay.
It's not a partnership. It's boots and all. You know, yeah, maybe me as my partner can have shares in a business in stock exchange, but we don't have any other thing we do. We're growing this brand together.
Yeah.
100%. So, and those are the partnerships that have succeeded when your primary assignment, you know, if not even the only assignment at times, is that goal, then partnership works. The other thing that I see that is critical in a partnership is that let the functions of the partners be clearly demarcated. Let there be a dichotomy of function. Oh, if you are the MD, this is the MD. If you are the DMD, this is the DMD. If you are the executive director of finances, and let there be that, oh, this is where your responsibility starts and this is where it finishes. That I've found to be why you've seen long-lasting partnerships in the West and even in Nigeria. If you look at the big consulting firms, some have like 10, 20 partners, is because each partner's function is clearly demarcated, and that helps. So there's no bargaining, and you know. And lastly, I would always propose when people come to me and say, "The partnership," I say, "Is it possible for you guys to earn the same amount?" You know, I'm one side of the partnership in a big bank in Nigeria, owned by 2 people, and one of the guys were talking about this and said, "That's so right that between the partners, the difference in their pay was 50 kobo. So they're on the same goal." So all those things work because there are nuances that can break partnerships up. And what I always say is that they often come from outside. It's never from people that, you know, once money is not the key thing. And once there's that dichotomy of functions and responsibilities, for me, no issues. And I always say, if we can do that, earn the same amount.
Okay.
If you own the same amount of shares, you earn the same amount on a monthly basis, then title becomes irrelevant because you both know you are in this. And once 2 or 3 people can come together and do that, you will build an organization faster and easier. That's my strong opinion. If I came again, I want to do business, I'll pray for God to give me a good partner again.
Okay.
Or
Thank
for
you.
some other firms, which I've seen people do, partners, you know, I start as a sole leader, but there will be someone that is so committed and dogged that can be promoted to a partner. I've seen it also in 2 organizations that they've turned them all be junior partners, but hey, it works.
I totally agree with you 100%. A few years ago, I was committed to doing it on my own, just going on my own, dogged on my own. But when I learned the principle of partnerships, it made things faster. It made things, and so I understand what you just said. And I like to reiterate what you mentioned about clear delineation of duties. I think that's one thing sometimes we get carried away with. And I must say that your legal background must have been a big win, big plus for you and the company. So I think that is also important, having that legal guidance from a outside party, but Like you mentioned, the partnership has to be clearly delineated. And even in conflict, you mentioned how it was resolved because from the get-go was clear. So thank you for that. All right. One big major thing, which is the headache for many Nigerian businesses, I think businesses across the world, is operations. It's operations. I have always wondered how TSL and other big companies manage to handle trucking fleets. Like, it's mind-boggling just thinking about it. The number of trucks I see broken down, and I even wonder how are these companies even making a profit. Like, it's mind-boggling. So in your industry, trucking is everything, logistics is everything. That is the core of what you do as a DNA. Your name says it all, Transport Services Limited. So tell me about a challenge, the first major roadblock you hit, like the first memorable one you hit as TSL, and I assume it's the operations and financial problems. So give us a story around that and how you were able to rise above it.
Okay, the first major problem happened, I think, June 5th, 2001.
That's when you just started.
No, we started, that was the day we loaded our first truck. We started 24th of 23rd of September. We started August 2000, but incorporated TSL. That was an incident. That wasn't our first company to incorporate. It was our second company. Incorporated TSL on the 24th of September, year 2000. But operations started. Then we spent the next 4 months to raise money. Then we raised money, then building, because you have to build tanks, you have to buy tractors. In those days, we used to buy fairly used tractors. So they will come, you couple them. So we call it shipping and integration. Operations, of course, all of our business, 80% of our business is ops. Either we are loading or discharging or repairing trucks or rescuing trucks on the road that is broken down, has an issue, it's inevitable, or there's been an accident, or there's been police issues, because you have, at any given time, you're going to have at least about 500-600 drivers on the road. And you look at the Nigerian roads. So the truth is, so on that day, it was the very first day we've loaded before, we've calibrated the truck. So we want to try and load, and the union stopped us, and it was a big fight. They threaten to use juju and all that. So we were there, and it was intimidation, because in the downstream petroleum sector, the petroleum tanker drivers are really, really strong. They can make or break you. But we knew that, again, those are the days we knew the fearlessness, we fought them to a standstill. So from about 8 a.m. trying to load, we did eventually gained entrance at about 4 p.m., 5 p.m., because they also saw that we were not backing down, And of course, they didn't give us the amount of loadings we wanted, but we still loaded. And when we started loading PMS, we now saw that, okay, the company was over-trucked. That was another challenge. So if we had planned that we will load, let's say, 3 trips a week per truck on a local is when you are loading within Lagos. And it didn't happen. We were loading one, we were barely loading one. So we knew that at this rate, this debt will go bad. So we were very ingenious. We now saw that, okay, they could load jet fuel. And if they loaded jet fuel, so we now did a research for the company that, look, all your trucks and because we had copied, what Mobile was doing, we had the best truck in that particular company by a mile. So we photographed, and the manager said, look, and we photographed just side by side the truck carrying jet fuel. And jet fuel is very sensitive. So when the management saw it, I said, wow. So we scared them that, look, you could kill people. You have this kind of asset. And so the decision was for us to go and load jet fuel. And all the rickety truck that was loading jet fuel was transferred to carrying PMS. So we epicoated the trucks. And after epicoating the first month, we jumped to like 3 trips a week, easy. So, but after doing it, we also saw that The jet fuel, because it was what we call shunting, end to end. So, like when you pick PMS petrol in those days, let's say you're going to Abuja, you will load before the regulation, before this current president came in, you will load and go to Suleja, stay for another 2 or 3 days in Suleja, then they will divert you to Abuja station. You don't know where you're going in the past. So in those days, wherever you're going outside Lagos, you don't know. You have to go to a depot, which we call them transitory depots, which they will divert you from. So of course you lose like 2-3 days in operations. But this one, when you're shunting, you're not losing, and it's Lagos. You're loading from Apapa to Lagos Airport, discharging jet fuel, and you turn back. So we looked at it. There were 17 trucks. By that time, at the end of the 1 year, we had 15 trucks. So we started with 5. So we looked at it and we said to ourselves, no. We don't need 15, 17 trucks here. So we wrote to the management again that this terminal is not efficient, that we believe we can do it with 7. The management said, no. Now you are being ambitious. We would only accept 12. But this time around, all the 12 trucks they accepted were our own. So we were in effect competing with ourselves. After 3 months, we removed 2. And that was one of the finest decisions we made. And it's still guiding the business today. We removed 2, we became 10. We were still moving the same volume. We removed 2 again, it became 8. We were still moving the same volume. So we eventually went to our 7. So imagine, let's say you're moving 1 million liters with 15. Now we're moving 1 million liters with 7. So it meant that your trucks were probably doing an average of about 7-8 trips a week. And the remaining 8 now went back to PMS, now competing for the volumes in PMS. And that just basically took the business north.
Brilliant. I love what you said. I hope everyone is hearing this. I love the story. There are lots of principles here, and I want to take some time to tackle these principles. You mentioned several things: opportunity spotting, stakeholder management, negotiation, efficiency in operations, and people management. Right. So let me go back to opportunity spotting. Right. In the environment we find ourselves, the volatile environment we find ourselves, a lot of chaos in the markets, but there's opportunity there. For many people, they shy away from it and they complain, like you mentioned, complain. But I believe that this is one of the best times in Nigeria to be an entrepreneur. And it hasn't changed. Between now and when you started, it hasn't changed. The aviation fuel opportunity, how did you spot that? I mean, that was chaotic. How, like, was there any obviously there were light bulb moments that popped up in your mind, and how did you manage negotiation with those stakeholders, because they were key? They could make you or break, irrespective of how fearless you are. They could really make and break your business. So is there like a guiding philosophy for you in opportunity spotting and managing stakeholders in terms of negotiation skills also?
I think I like the way you're summarizing, because you're even summarizing it better than I am. Well done. The opportunity spotting, I think you mentioned about gut feel. There's something that gut feel has a part to play, but it is not the be end and end all, which is one of the things we do, especially when you now bring faith in Nigeria. So you for me, Nigeria is a tough place to do business. Very tough place. But I don't think that God made a mistake creating us into this place. So the grace that you need to survive, He has already given you as well. Opportunity spotting, for me, I believe, I read a book on strategy, and the gentleman was saying that some strategy always come from default. I've forgotten the name they called the strategy in there's a particular name they called it, that Clayton Christensen called it. And they used how Yamaha broke through in America as an example. Yamaha went to America, built big bikes like Harley Davidson and all that. And they were making losses, massive losses. But meanwhile, in Japan, they had those skinny bikes, they didn't have the big ones, But the manager would carry the bike, the one they built in Japan, and just go and, out of stress, and just go and ride it in the mountains And you know, after a while, the other people will say, "Oh, let's also go into the mountains." They'll go into the mountains. They were riding it, but Ali Davidson was killing them because they wanted to give Americans an American bike. And after a while, they were even going to close down their American division because they were not making money. I say it's about time to get out of this. And yes, but for some reason, the guy saw that people were coming to demand for that bike. So we called Japan, they will send a couple, people will buy it. After a while, they see that this one is moving more than the American one. Before they knew it, the thing market exploded. Until today, so that's how they've now used those bikes in mountain bikes in America, and it caught on, and that's how they were able to go into another segment totally in the market. Until today, they are there. So what jet fuel was not our intention, but we were losing money, and we were seeing that the market there was moving, and we knew that we had a comparative advantage, you know, both comparative and competitive advantage. That we knew that if you tell anybody, if you want to scare any management, just take the photograph. And that was the early days of digital cameras. You know, I remember my partner used to bring in one massive digital camera that he will rent from his old office, and we will snap it. So when you snap it and you now send it by mail, they open it and go, what? This is what is carrying. British Airways must not know. Lufthansa must not see this. Then you have another better asset. It was just like, guys, let's just move things around. So, but opportunity spotting, that's where I feel maybe it got failed. Even if the initial opportunity you've spotted will not work, the more you dig and dig and dig, if you're committed to it, the more you dig, you will see. Sometimes it might be a byproduct of what initial thing you said, you know, but you see, with us, we tend to want to do what everybody else is doing, what has worked. So with little innovation and all that, but we have to know that I believe that really the opportunity in Nigeria is incredible. They are incredible. So for the youth, it's just for them to be dogged. And you see, I always believe that when people come to me and talk about raising funds, because that's the biggest challenge. But in business, I tell young people, do not put money first. But that's the mistake we always make in this part of the world. You looked at your opportunity and say, wow, I need 40 billion. How am I going to get 40 billion? And you go and meet your peers and say, 40 billion, who do you think you are? You are earning 200K per month. But that's why it's a dream. That's why it's a vision. So people looking at that, the need to establish that organization or that vision, and the need is so overwhelming, they drop it and go into their day-to-day. But I tell people the trick is never look at the need. There's no time an entrepreneur will not have a need that is bigger than his vision. You know, and as a business leader or an entrepreneur, you will never look like your tomorrow. But there must be something in you that believes in your tomorrow. Okay, let's take Africa's richest man. Look at the refinery. Exactly. The refinery, you can see, is a big problem for him today. Someone said, he has never done, the amount of interviews he's done in the last 3 months. I don't think he's done it in 40 years of business. So it meant that is himself, and he said it, we've all seen the interview. Would you do it again? He said, no. Everybody told him not to. Everybody told him it's not possible. But because he's used to daring and taking on the impossible, he did it. But the beauty of it is that I tell people who fight and they come, I say, look, there's only one thing. Nigeria doesn't have a choice. They are going to use this refinery. We're in this industry, we know. He's won that battle. It's just a matter of time. But it still took him 12 years of pain. But at the end, in another 3 years now, he's just going to relax and be smiling. And that legacy will be there when he's even long gone. So for me, In terms of opportunity spotting, fine, you've spotted the opportunity. You must ask yourself, what are your value propositions? Why would anybody pay me for this? Spend all your time. Leave money. Make money the last. Then what do I need in terms of finances? Then you break it down. Then you start looking for. Once you've done the work, you know your end to end. Because when you sit with banks, what are banks looking for? What are VCs looking for? What are private equity firms looking for? What is your family and friends looking for? Everybody wants to make more money. And if you start in front of somebody that is done tremendous amount of work, look now, there's a product that I've been working on for 9.5 years. I just signed the contract. And when we are now in the process of capital raise. When that thing happens, you're going to see Nigerians say, oh, they just gave it to him. We say it a lot in the office and we'll laugh. Oh, don't mind, there's someone just dashed there. Oh, it's not them. But nobody wants to put 9.5 years of work into the vision. But I keep seeing that people need this thing in Nigeria. And it's cost us a lot of money and time and lobbying and managing stakeholders and selling the vision. And then when you finish that, because once you know that, okay, this is what the banks will want to see. Once you finish that line, by the time you go to the banks, that's often the easiest, not the hardest. But people put the money first, so they leave it. They leave it because, and I remember I was going to get married. We had written our plan, we'd done everything. And my late father said, I said, did you go and do your wedding shopping in England? I said, okay. I've just come back. I said, okay. And I got to England with one of my partners and I have the wedding shopping money. And we went to Holland. We quickly went to Holland and we looked at trucks where we're going to buy trucks. We spent the whole day with them because we knew our trucks, we knew the prices, and we flew back. And luckily for me, there was this, I was going to wear a navy suit. There was a navy blue suit on sale. I just bought this navy blue suit quickly. In fact, because of what I did, my brother and I had to buy from 2 different shops. But because it was dark navy blue suit, people didn't know they were coming from 2 different shops. So that's how much you believe in your vision. You can't say, oh, and now our youth don't even have, I know it's a bit harder in terms of the season, but whose voice are you listening to? But there's a part that is even a lot easier, desktop research. I woke up about 5:32 this morning and I still wanted to sleep. But there was a research I started doing in the office last night. So I just picked up my phone and I continued looking at Central Asia for that thing until I fell asleep after maybe 7:30 again. So that is it. The research part of it is being made easier. Even if you don't have the money to go there, you would have a friend in London or that you trust, or you can share, but you can also just do all these things on the desktop. They work.
Yes.
They work.
I like the way you've broken it down very simply. And I think it's 100% aligned with the vision of SEPTA. I mean, Jumoke birthed this vision, birthed this Triad Masterclass, and with our partner, Babatunde, myself, and her, we are creating something, a platform that can help people, help businesses, right? Because SEPTA is really all about helping people have financial advisory services available, investment readiness opportunities, consulting. That is what Jumoke and SEPTA is really all about. So I like the way you're putting it, because many people don't have, even though there's research available for them at their fingertips, there's still that drive behind, that's not knowing how to do it, expertise. And I think that's where SEPTA comes in. So we're really, really happy to bring this information to everyone on the call. And I'm happy your story is really resonating with everybody. I can see the thumbs up and everything coming up, right? So let me take this story where you've taken us to, let me take another dimension, which is people management. That is one thing people say is a big big headache in our Nigerian markets. Availability of skill, and in your sector is highly regulated because of the volatility of the products you carry. Like, how do you manage people? How do you get the right? I know you spoke about you were looking at the benchmarking with the best players in the market, talking to interviewing their their drivers, and I guess you were also coaching them. But that was 20 years ago. Like, in real time, how has that man? Have you created a system? How can even the man? How can even the drivers, even your in-office staff, your operations is massive now, and the jackpot syndrome is on. So for many mid-sized and big businesses, it's a problem. It's a headache, right? Skill is living left, right, and center. So what's the core that helps you still be successful as TSL?
I think what I tell my people, because they also complain, oh, we're dropping the ball because we don't have people. And I say to them, look, we couldn't have lost people more than the big fours in the consulting world. The big fours are they're bleeding people at some point. And I said, they're still standing. You know, the auditors and a partner that has not touched audit in a long time is now himself finishing audits because they didn't have people. And I tell them they're still meeting their budget and still beating their budget. So what excuse do we have? The bank's the same. Look, this week we still lost somebody very key. We just came back and said, oh, I'm going to America. My wife wants to go to America, you know, and I have only 5 days. But everybody is used to it now that, look, we simply move on. It is what it is in Nigeria. But one of the things that it's helped us is, and don't forget now that the country has been going through what I would call hopelessness. People feel hopeless. So, when people feel hopeless, it is hard. But what has helped us is that the people at the top in our business, myself, I've been there, let's say 24 years, the next man 19, the next man 16, 18, 17, 14. So I have a lot of people that are long stayers. And I think that's where the secret is. If you care about your people and they see that, okay, we're building something, they see sincerity, they see that you care, they see honesty, you know, you can't be facing COVID, you are downsizing, and the leader, you're buying a new car. And you're telling everybody to take a pay cut. You know, people can see, because don't forget that very few Nigerian companies have actually metamorphosed into what you call publicly quoted, listed, that you can say companies that say, okay, yeah, they should keep growing. Maybe the banks, maybe some insurance companies. So people like us that are on that journey, you have to be deliberate about your people, you know, and you have to be deliberate about governance. Corporate governance is key. You have to be deliberate about governance. You have to be deliberate about people. You have to be deliberate about transparency. Once they can see sincerity, they see that you're transparent, and they see that you also care. You can't, somebody's been working in the business for 15 years, and you're not bothered about him not owning a house as a leader, and he's a performer. He's not only a long stayer, he's a productive long stayer. Then you're not going to. So I believe those are the things that stood us in a good stead when the market started shaking, you know, because COVID also had its issues, hence as all those things happened. So for me, it's how you treat your people from get-go. And yeah, someone would quickly tell me, but Deji, out of every 10 you treat the 6, yeah, people will misbehave. It's standard, you know. Is I once read a book, and the leader, they asked him and said, oh, how come you have a lot of people that have stayed 20 years, blah, blah, blah. He said, look, they misbehave maybe once a year. And when they start their misbehavior, he looks away. He said he looks away. And he said he also misbehaves once a year. So once he's misbehaving, they look away. So really, but, and I would usually go for what I call learning exchange. Maybe since COVID, I haven't done much, but still done a bit. And I went to the largest full trucking business in America. I spent a week with them, and I met the man. The CEO describes him. His name is Jeremiah. He said, "When Jerry talks, America listens." He's got he's got about 18,000 tractors and maybe 50,000 trailers or something ridiculous like that. So you can imagine maybe the rolling stock in Nigeria alone is about 18,000. And the guy is still even less than 1% of American market. So he said to me, I said to him, "Why do you have a lot of people?" And he laughed. He said, "Deji, I made a lot of people a lot of money. Because everywhere I went in the business, why have you worked here for 20 years, 25 years? Oh, Jerry, oh, Jerry, oh, Jerry." He had something that once you spend 10 years, there's this gold ring, all gold ring, Americans is like envy, So they all look forward to that gold ring to get it, and something as small but symbolic. But he said it to me that it's very simple. I've made a lot of people a lot of money. So carrying them along, especially in the early days, never mind the vicious ones, the dissenters, the lazy ones, the toxic ones. They are all part of everybody's life. So any business you look at and you admire, they all have it. But majority are good people. Concentrate on your good people. Concentrate on the people that believe in your vision. When they're down, you're down. When they have issues. And another thing that I saw is that when there's a family issue, as a business, it's important. We would maybe, for example, wife of somebody who's a performer, has been in the business, is a good guy. Oh, suddenly they said, oh, there's a blood clot in the brain. They have to do surgery. We flew the lady out of the business to India. We paid for the operations. The guy didn't have that money, but hey, you can't sit back. And those things people see. The gentleman is still in the business now. It's about 14 years, for 15 years in the business. And that happened maybe about almost 10 years ago. So people see those things. And once you are committed, you will get your own people, regardless of people drain and all that. Because all those things, you can't shut the door of your business that is thriving because I don't have people. No. So it's a two-way thing. And I think that the business leader and the entrepreneur must sow the seed first. And once that seed is sown, you would always have good people. You would always have.
Thank you. Thank you for that story and the background you gave. There are many salient points. And I really believe, like I said, in the story, successful people, in their stories, you hear the things that have guided them to build the empire they have built and they are building. For you, I can sense your care for people. It's very strong. It's very palpable. For many companies, even multinational, it's a word of mouth. They say it, but in the actions, you will see that they do not really have that depth of care, right? So team dynamics, corporate governance, your reward system. I love that's a new thing for me. The gold ring, like you mentioned, that's something that is deep. So we can also always have the birthday cakes and all that, but in truth, they say ephemeral, they are short-sighted. But that 10 years reward with the gold, something that's a brilliant idea. So I think many people can learn from that because people like certainty. The human body is conditioned to be in a safe environment. So if I know I'm working for a company that rewards my performance, I can see how that has worked for you. And this is to the core of your DNA. Like one or two more questions for you. At this point, I will ask anybody, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. We are at the 1 hour mark now. Drop in the chat box. So the question I have for you, Mr. Deji, is, I know complacency is a thing that holds businesses. I, as an entrepreneur, have struggled with that. And this is my early days of entrepreneurship. I'm still growing my brand. And for me, it gets to the point where when you know it's time to grow, to break a ceiling. I assume you started regionally, Lagos first, then you started expanding your regions. Then it gets to the point where Nigeria is big enough, and then you're thinking, when do I go to Ghana? When do I move to Sierra Leone? When do I? So how has that been for you? What's the fundamental thing that guides you, that knows that, okay, it's time to grow?
To be honest about that, I don't think we sit back and say it's time. One of the things I would advise people that, a lot of things when you are doing it, particularly as a young person, you don't know. We started at, I was 29 when we started the business. The business is about 24 years old now. So you can imagine that a lot of things we learned by falling, by stumbling, by running. So there was no dedicated time up until 2019, that we said, oh, we'll do this. But because we were always excellent, once we had opportunity to work for one big company, we went to the next company, we had opportunity, you know that, okay, it's time, let's go and talk to PZ, let's talk to Lafarge, let's talk to some would come, you'll get cold call, they'll see, because they've seen your trucks on the road, your truck is your best advert, and some you will get a tender, some you would get in, somebody will call you and say, oh, do you want to work with us? And then you go and do a presentation. So it takes different modes. But what I see that opened those doors was the excellence in what we do, so that is how I would answer that. Just do what you need to do. Up until 2019, that we now say, let's look at Africa. Why are we looking at Africa? And then COVID struck the following year. So we had to pull back, Now, if you ask me, okay, do I want to go to Africa next year? My answer would be no, because the need in Nigeria is great now. If somebody gives me money for 500 trucks today in Nigeria, it would be so much. It will be taken up in no time, So, so for me, you will know when the time is, and it's just for you. Look, if you have 30 trucks, you're making money, there's room for expansion. And if you do those 30 very well, because one of the things about our industry is that the entry barrier is very low. So because of that, you have a lot of unserious people who just comes in, but if you continue to raise your game, and one place that we raised our game was in safety. We spent a lot of money and we recruited the best we could get 14 years ago. He's still with us. He's an ex-Shell man. He's not Nigerian, he's Gambian, who was very good on road transport safety. He came to audit us for Shell. And I remember when he audited us about 14, 15 years ago, he said to us, we were unprofessional. That was the rating. Yeah. And
I'm sure that came as a shock to you, like.
Yeah, exactly. And our egos were crushed. And after that, we pursued him for almost 6 to 12 months before we got him to Nigeria. And he's been with us for 15 years. And today, there's no place we hold that we've not won the safety award. So, but nobody will pay you for that. Sometimes it could take about 50% of your profit of last year, you are investing back into safety. So that took us to the next level. People took us serious, And also another thing about people is that when people see that you are transparent, the business is growing, they will stay. And they can see the vision, they participate in strategy sessions, and they can see, we said we'll do this last year, we did it. So those are the things they can also see that I can have a career here.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I mean, what you just said is what my partner, Batunde, talks about. He's a strategy guru, and he talks about it that strategy is everything. I like the way you focus on your value, your main differentiator, and you made it differentiate your brand, irrespective of the market that's saturated, that differentiate your brand as the #1 company in that space, right? I'm reminded of a saying by Keza Young. He's an Asian American who's big in innovation. And this is one of the things that he preaches about in business is compasses versus maps. He says maps is everyone has a clear blueprint. This is what my business is about. This is what I'm doing. and sometimes they stay focused on that vision, on that map. But maps are very restrictive. It's like I'm going from Lagos to Benin. It's very restrictive. And sometimes people lose out on opportunities, on other opportunity areas. So for you, how has that guided you using compasses directly your business? Like you said, opportunities to pop up and all that. How has that guided you in driving the company? You understand what I'm saying in terms of compasses or some maps? That's the thing about opportunities and all, but generally you don't have this straight jacket vision. This is where we're going. Yes.
To be honest, that's why I said to you, there will be some that will be cold call. But look, now we were moving petroleum products and we had one contract. So we knew that we had a key risk. But we also knew that, okay, we have a massive opportunity in this company. They like us, we know them. Let's be as big as we can here before we expanded. So by the time we knew that, okay, now you will know when your fleet is competing with your fleet, then we said, okay, let's diversify. I think we're probably the most diversified trucking company in Nigeria that is carrying jet fuel, that is carrying CNG, that is carrying LPG, in a tender for LNG movement by road. It's a matter of time before we do that. We move fridges, we move food, we move, and we move cement, end to end. We move almost everything. And now we have a passenger transport business. So last year, I think we moved about 5 million people by road. So we do that. So because we just believe that, hey, if it's moving, we should be there. And
Brilliant. Brilliant. I like it. I like what you just said. Brilliant.
yeah, so and so that puts us in a position of our own compass, really. There's something when we're doing our strategy, we just okay, this is a blank canvas. Let's paint on it. And it's not me sitting down and saying, oh guys, this is what we do. No. The professionals are in the business, they know the business even better than me today. So they are designing it. And I'm sitting down, I'm watching. If I see something that is totally, and which really in some cases doesn't happen, that is totally inimical to where we're going, I say, no, let's leave that. But like now, it's a strategy in TSL, whether I'm there or not. TSL will not buy a monoproduct trailer. So if no matter the amount of opportunity you give us, and so we'll go and buy bitumen tanker. Because we know that, okay, bitumen, how many people moves bitumen in Nigeria?
Yes.
Or you tell us to go and buy CNG skid. So if you tell us to buy CNG skid, the kind of contract we'll sign with you is that after the end of 10 years, you will buy those skids from us. So we don't lose money. Because the tendency for you to get money after, if you lose a contract, if it's a monoproduct trailer, where do you take it to? You have limited customers. But if it's a multi-product trailer, if you lose one contract, which rarely happens to us, but that is still how we plan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so before I go into the questions, in fact, let me just jump into the questions in the box right now. Okay. Okay, so we have a question from Luatobi Bush. Hey, good afternoon, sir. I heard so much about good stuff from you, from a colleague who is a fleet manager in your company. His question is around maintenance of these assets, which is our major challenge at the moment. We keep having breakdown in and out, hence reducing our efficiency and profitability. What did you do for effective maintenance? Was it a partnership? Did you own a workshop? How are your drivers recruited? It's a whole lot for us, and we are currently bleeding.
It's not different from a lot of transporters, so don't feel bad. One of the mistakes Nigerian transporters we've all made is we invest in trucks, but we don't invest in our workshop. One of the things we've seen right now is that our maintenance culture in Nigeria is difficult. So what we're doing, we're bringing in expatriates to help us. We also have similar challenges, you know. So you must, I don't know what kind of truck you use. I don't know what kind of fleet you use. Are you a multi-fleet business? And I think what I would ask you to do, which is what we are beginning to do, is to buy maintenance contract from the manufacturer, you know. But it's a common problem in the industry. It's a common problem. You know, we are using semi-baked engineers, and now if there's anything that is going to cost us so much money going forward, it's going to be the cost of expatriates. We've done it lately, and it's beginning to work seriously. So it is where we're going to have to make a lot of investment. Your company have to take a stock on their workshop. You know, for us, we used to own our workshop. And we've always owned it, but we spun it off into a company about 4 years ago, and it's working, but COVID slowed us down a lot, but it's beginning to work. But one thing that is clear on our own side is that we've got to make a lot of investments in expatriates, and we've started doing that. And what we want to do is that by the time we're bringing in the expatriates, we're starting another graduate trainee, particularly for the technical bit of our workshop. And we've created a technical academy. So we're trying to get young people from technical schools, polytechnics. So when they finish, they join us. These expatriates, we train them. We're looking at a 5-year cycle where we're now fully independent technically, but we have to make that investment. If you look at the best workshop in the country, I would say is the Julius Berger workshop. But Julius Berger have been using Germans to train their people for the last 30, 40 years. And that's why then you take Dante Tansawu also, you know. So all the best workshops, really, they've had to bring in expatriates because we lack that skill locally.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for that, Deji. Yes, so I have a question from Babatunde Bambwe. Can you give us more insight on the culture at TSL and how this has impacted workplace performance?
You see, what I'm saying about culture is people will say your culture will eat strategy for breakfast or whatever was that slang is.
Yes.
But what I've seen is that it's basically what people want to see. I've seen people that, okay, at our 24th anniversary, there was a lady that came. I've never even met her. And people were just talking, they said, okay, well, we wanted to cut a cake, you know, in the office, just playing around. And the head of corporate communications just said, okay, people come and say what you like about TSL. And this lady spoke. I've never met her. And she said, look, I was in TSL, I had issues, and I resigned. And the head of HR came to me and spoke to me. Why do you? And she said, look, she was going through mental challenges, but they tried to keep her, but she said she was going. But she kept in touch with our HR, and HR kept on saying, look, if you want to come back, we'll support you. And years gone by, and she said, look, I'm ready. TSL, would you take me back? And said TSL took her back and reintegrated her. And funny enough, the lady, the former head of HR, had left and moved to another role. And she said the way they integrated her back, the way they helped her through the challenge, and the way now that she's back, she's very committed, she's enjoying it. She can't believe that TSL would do this, and they even paid me more. And this happened without me having the knowledge of it. So I believe that is a culture. And that even blew me off that underneath my leadership, this is happening. And so, and a lot of people came out. So, but you still see people that will say, oh, our place is this, but majority of our people are stayers. Majority. I remember we had our head of HR, I said, Deji, don't you think you have a problem that people don't resign? Blah, blah. I said, I don't know. I don't know. And she said, oh, people need to go, blah, blah, blah. You know, then Jackpot happened and people were going and she came to complain. I said, look, what do you want? When they went to resign, you complain. Now we have mass resignation, it's happening. You're complaining. So we had a good laugh. But I believe that you cannot keep very good people that have opportunities everywhere. You cannot keep people that, especially when you look at our operations guys, that's where we're from. The top 3 people in our operations are all between 16 and 19 years. Our passenger bus business, we took 4 people out of our trucking business to establish that thing 4.5 years ago. The 4 gentlemen have turned the business from 0 income to a multi-billion-naira business per annum. All the 4 guys are still in that business. You know, and these are people that started, some in their 20s with us or late 30s. They're all in their early 40s now, and they run that business day to day without me or any of us. So I would say the culture is very positive. We are versatile. You know, today, if you're working in our legal department and you feel strongly and say, look, I'm tired, I want to go join ops, TSL is a place that you will have that opportunity. You know, so our former head of HR did 7 years in HR, and she came to me and said, I'm tired. We've been talking about sustainability as a business. We've been talking about ESG. I have a strong passion for it. And today she's the group chief sustainability officer. She's actually just went for a training abroad, you know, so she's back in Nigeria this week. Now she's changed her career entirely from HR to sustainability, you know, and that is such as a culture and such as a platform. But, you know, I don't think there's any perfect system as long as you have people. But I think overall, it's a very, very positive culture. And why do I even believe in versatility? Because I crossed from being a lawyer to a trucker. So, and I always tell people, look, if you just want to feel special, that's how you tell people that no. God has created, anybody can do anything. Just put your mind to it. Yes, tomorrow I can't wake up and say I'll be a medical doctor. No. But in terms of business leadership, you can actually move and do things. If somebody gives me an opportunity to run a hospital today, yeah, I'll struggle for the first 6 months, but that's it. If your mind is in it, you will learn it. And the best managers of hospitals are not doctors, they're actually administrators. So, and that is one thing that I know about our culture. We're very versatile. And if you're daring, you want to move, you know, our chief operating officer today started in the finance department. After 2 years, he came to me and said, I want to go to ops. I said, but you're in finance. He said, no, I want to. Today is reason to be chief operating officer. So that is it. It's just giving people, I can be daring. So when it comes to people, now I even told our HR, look, I'm not looking at functions anymore. When I interview, I don't sit down and have formal interviews anymore because I've grown to see that I don't get what I want from interviews. But when people come and just say, let's just chat, and I put them, don't look at CV, and we start chatting. And they ask me, yes, I always get things. And the head of HR will come, how did you get this out of that guy? And I said, don't take that guy. This is, and how did you get that? Oh, we're chatting. Oh, how did you hear this? We're chatting. And one thing I've learned is that, and I tell people, look for a mind now. I'm looking for that mind. Can that mind things? And you'll be surprised how beautiful the minds of Nigerians are. I'm not one of those people that believe education standard is crash, nonsense, and no. I still believe so much in Nigeria. And when you sit with young people and you see what their minds can do, as leaders, you are the one that need to help them shape that mind, provided they are humble, because you also have a lot that are not humble. Provided they are humble, which is what you and Scepter Consulting are trying to do, shape the mind. You know, shape the mind. Once the mind is good and it can mind something good, I run after the mind.
Yes. Thank you very much. You mentioned, I like the way you crafted it, chatting, getting to know the person, and that's really at the core of your recruitment. I think you just answered the question from Annie. Let me read her comment and her question. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really struck by your approach to people. I guess as businesses grow, it's easier to focus on the committed people. I wonder how you manage this in the early stages. How do you choose the right people, and what was most important in establishing your company culture? So you've literally addressed that question from Annie. 2 more questions and we'll wrap up. She also asked the question, Which metrics do you use to measure your leadership? Which numbers give you a sense that you are taking the right trajectory?
Which what? Numbers.
Which numbers? The metrics is to measure your leadership, basically.
One of the things that I think that leaders must know also is that you must know what you don't know. I used to work with a gentleman who said, look,
Yes.
he said, you must know what you don't know, which means that if you understand what you don't know, it makes you humble, and it makes it healthy for you to look for professionals to build a business with you. Somebody asked, at every given time, I sit with my younger people, I tell them, don't take a person that cannot be MD. By the time you finish interviewing this person, know that can't be MD of this company. Don't take the person. Because you will see that after a while, you just have a lot of people, according to HR people, they taught me they will become blockers. Maybe you have a 34-year-old brilliant lady, 29-year-old brilliant guy, but you now have these blockers, 45-year-old. They are limited. Or they will block those younger people, and you as a business need to unlock that place for those younger people with a lot of brilliance and energy to come to the top. So for me, if I'm interviewing anybody, I'm asking myself, can this person lead this business? So that tells you the quality of people we are looking for. So our quality, in terms of standards, our quality is quite high. So can this person lead this business? If it can't, why are we taking this person? At some point, he or she's going to be disgruntled with us. And also, yes, it means that you may lose a lot of people to other companies, but that's normal. If you're really good in your industry, after a while, people will come and poach your people. And that's normal. So for us, that is how we do it. And there was the second part to the last question.
A metrics for leadership?
Yes. So I said that to say this, that our head of HR, if there's one thing that the last 8, 9, 10 years that has been well entrenched, is our performance management system. And if you're building a business and you don't look, sometimes I've been in situations that we have staff that are earning more than me. Why? The business needs them at that instance more than me. And the business must be able to pay. The business is a person that is separate from me or my co-founder, And we even still have in the business at least 3, 4, 5 people earning more than me. And that is weird. Yeah, it is weird, So we have a very robust, if I might say, very, very robust performance management system, where, we have our goals, which is 3+1 goals. We do it every 6 months. Mid-year, we will do our mid-year review. Where are you? You review, you appraise yourself, your leaders will appraise you. At the end of the year, we have the end of year review, which usually happens in January. And that one is a critical matter. You will appraise yourself, your HOD will appraise you, then the HOD will bring it to the executive leadership committee. Other people will now appraise. Let's say they say you're a performer, but somebody feels strongly you don't have integrity with evidence. You'll be kicked out of the business. So performance without integrity doesn't work. Or, the attitude is bad. We get 1 or 2 every year, that people, they will call you and they will counsel you, they will do this. But if it's still bad, I can remember this January, there was somebody that the whole of last year, in fact, I had to cancel the person 3 times for bad attitude. Good worker, but just very disrespectful to the leaders, all the leaders. After a while, by the time we did this in January, performer, but all the leaders put their foot down that she doesn't represent the culture of TSL or our core values. So she had to go. So once for performance, the metrics are clear. And you hear about SMART and all that, So performance management is a tool that has helped us incredibly well, and is a tool that we use and we use very strongly. So people know. For example, now I've spoken about safety. Regardless of your role, your plus one is safety. How are you committed to safety? You know, in TSL, every Monday morning, everybody, including myself, must be at the safety assembly from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So we take attendance. If you are not at 90%, it will affect your performance. So people attend safety assembly, where we talk about health, we talk about safety, we talk about everything, safety and health. So thank you very much. So that's how we run it. So we have a strong performance management systems in place.
Thank you for that. We're wrapping up in 4 minutes, and I would want to use 1 minute to answer this last question from Jumoke, and then the last 3 minutes to wrap up. She says, how do you perceive the business climate in 2025? As a business person, how should a business person prepare? 1 minute.
Okay. I think it's going to be positive. I think reforms are good. The only thing we need to beg our leaders for is to do it with sincerity. All the reforms they're putting in place are good. We just need sincerity to back it up. I'm positive about 2025. We are beginning to see the signs slowly. You know, you will observe the wind will not sow. So
Yes.
you have to keep going on with your vision, so that, because all this, there are still opportunities. So my outlook for next year is positive. It's very positive, you know, and you know, I just pray the leaders in the political sector would continue to key in with the private sector.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In summary, we've learned a lot from operations, strategy, innovation, people management, finance, vision, R&D, opportunity spotting, negotiation skills, stakeholder management. The points are endless. Like TSL is really giant. I love your story. I look forward to connecting with you after this. Thank you, Jumoke, for this opportunity. Thank you, Babatunde, for the support. At this point, I will hand over to Jumoke to wrap up the session. Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So over to Jumoke to wrap up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I cannot say the thank you enough. I know you're such a busy person. I've been privileged to see you in action. So finding this quality time to spend with us, honestly, is not something I take lightly. I've been writing and making notes, and I've been asking myself, well, you know about these things. I'm like, how come I didn't hear this? How come I didn't know this? Stay committed, be transparent, open up to your people, let them understand what you're doing, have a strong performance management. I could go on and on about my notes. And of course, I particularly appreciate the insight you give about partnership. I'm definitely going to reach out to you and see whether I can still glean some more. But thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this session. It has truly been impactful. I have personally been impacted, and I'm deeply grateful. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Awalumate. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless
Thank you. And thank you for your positive words for 2025. That's something to gear up for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
For your consulting services, financial advisory, investment readiness, please reach out to Scepter Consulting. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.